Galaxy Investment Partners. He called Bitcoin 10K, then the recent move as well. He is the original crypto baller, a friend of fast money, or fast crypto, as we like to call it these days. So welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
So in terms of this move in Litecoin, do you like Litecoin? Where do you stand on Litecoin versus the rest?
I actually called Litecoin the poor man's Bitcoin, I think, maybe last time I was on this show. And so I'll have to eat my hat because I'm glad I wasn't short. Listen, I think they've got a very agile promoter. They've got an okay technology. You know, this Lightning Network, which a lot of people have been talking about, I think is why it moved today. I don't think we'll have the same legs that Bitcoin would. I'd sell it here versus buying Bitcoin. You have to remember, this is what a speculative mania feels like. We are in the middle of a speculative mania. And kind of phase one of this whole crypto decentralized revolution is just selling the story. None of these protocols are going to be ready for prime time for at least 2 to 3 years. And so we're selling the story about what the future is going to be. And people are piling on. And so right now, everything is store of value. And so, you know, why does Bitcoin go up and the other ones lag and then it goes up? Because most crypto players don't want to go back into fiat because they don't want to pay tax. And they think if they go back into fiat, the tax man might catch them.
So you keep it in crypto.
So you keep it in crypto.
And you just move it around.
I think in the long run, that's you know, they're going to end up having to pay their tax. They're supposed to pay their tax. I think the IRS will get pretty smart pretty quick now that the dollars are getting big.
Right. As I feel like every single time we have you on, you have an even bolder and bolder call when it comes to whatever cryptocurrency we're talking about, specifically Bitcoin. I'm wondering, when you talk about that mania and being in the midst of that mania, does it make you concerned that the mania seems to be progressing maybe even faster than you think?
So, you know, I underestimated the viral network. Actually, I should have learned, just being on Twitter for the last month. I'm new to Twitter, watching just how fast information moves. And so, you know, this is spreading.
You've driven up Twitter stock price too, Mike.
This is literally moving, you know, at lightning speed around the world. And so we're accelerating what would be a normal bull market phase. I mean, you look at this on any chart. I was running logarithmic charts today, and it's doing things that markets have never seen. And so it's a big caution. You got to be, you know, listen, market cap is now $500 billion. I thought end of last year it could be $1 trillion. Heck, it could be there in 3 months. But in the speculative phase, you just, you know, shorting it is really dangerous. But I wouldn't recommend, you know, going out on your credit card or mortgaging your house to buy any of this stuff.
So you had said the last time you were on this show that Bitcoin could hit 40,000 sometime in 2018. Do you accelerate that call? Do you say, you know what, we've moved this far now, this is going viral, it's got to be higher?
So I think, listen, at this pace, it could hit 40,000 in 3 months, 2 months. There are risks out there. I mean, the biggest risk is Mr. and Mr. Regulator are going to come out and say, whoa, 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 whoa. We've got too many stories of, you know, people starting to borrow from their credit card. And when prices are moving this fast, it gets regulators nervous.
So, Mike, you talked about last time you were here that the herd's coming, that the institutional investors are coming. You're out there talking to institutional investors. Where do they stand? Are they in this market, or are they not there yet?
Absolutely not. I was actually up speaking to one of the biggest pension funds in the world, and they had 50 people in their office. They knew more about crypto than most of us. I mean, they were doing their homework. They're not in as an institution. My sense...
Can they not be because of their mandate, and will they change their mandate, or are they just...
All of these guys are looking at this as a potential asset class. And I think... Mark my words, when Goldman Sachs starts trading it, you're going to see the big pensions start coming in, right? So as more and more credibility comes, the futures was a big deal. Getting some of the banks to participate, that'll get the pension funds in. And so I don't think the speculative phase of this is over. I think it's going to be bumpier than it has been. And I don't know if it lasts 3 months, 18 months, 2 years. It will end at one point, and the second chapter of this decentralized revolution will be when these actual protocols start working.
So right now you're planning to launch your fund next year, early next year or so?
End of the week.
The end of the week? Yeah. Did you move that up?
Really? No. We had, listen, you know, launching a fund is always challenging. I wish we had launched it 3 months ago.
Sure.
Because it would have been much, much easier at investing. And so at one point you just start. And so we're going to start, and we'll see from there.
So I think I asked you this question last time, but what does your allocation look, given the runs that we've seen and everything that's gone on since the last time we spoke?
So listen, I'm a trader at heart, and so sometimes I trade and I seem smart. Last time I think I told you I'd sold a bunch of Bitcoin at 10,000, 11,000, and didn't buy those back, and you can imagine how much that's cost. I'm guessing on a dollar basis, about half invested at this point, having taken profits on some things, waiting for volatility.
Are you personally or through your fund going to be looking at other ways to invest in Bitcoin or blockchain, whether it be investing in some sort of exchange or a platform to trade or anything like that?
Our company, we have investments in exchanges and in companies all across the ecosystem, in mining. And so originally I had this thesis that you're not smart enough to pick just the winner. And so spread your bets. And so I've spread my bets all over the table.
Out of the investments or the types of investments that you have that are outside the actual cryptocurrency, what do you think could be the most disruptive at this point? And granted, a lot can change over the next couple of years.
Well, listen, the best investments by a long shot have been these exchanges. The exchanges are printing money right now. And so, God, you wish you owned a big chunk of Coinbase or Bitfinex or any of these big exchanges.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's just going to be a race to the bottom in terms of the commissions? Because that seems like the next... once you have a lot of exchanges and a lot of platforms, it's like the E-Trade, Ameritrade, Schwab sort of war that we've seen ongoing.
We're still early on in the building of this thing. The hard part is getting money from exchange to the exchange. And so we've looked at banks that are funding these exchanges, right? The traditional banks still haven't wanted to participate in the crypto space. That's partly reputational. That's partly protecting their own turf.
We've been in a bull market for basically everything right now. I mean, stocks, crypto. Can Bitcoin go higher if stocks crash? I mean, if we see a major correction
Yeah, I think so.
stocks.
Because if you think about kind of total market cap of Bitcoin is still 2/3 of Apple. It's not enough that you're going to see the wealth effect shot. If Bitcoin was at $2 trillion market cap, then I think there'd be a lot of correlation, right? You're losing money in stocks, you better take profit in your Bitcoin. But you have a different investor base, right? The crypto investor base, you're starting to get more and more crossover people, but the core crypto investor base, they're not looking at the S&P. They really aren't. They're looking at all their different coins, and so I think it's still a pretty uncorrelated asset.
Mike, obviously cryptocurrencies are disruptive. I don't know the answer. I'm not meaning to be glib. If it's as disruptive as we all think it is, what industries are being disruptive? Then the question is, are there companies out there that you can short in terms of stocks?
So right now, no industries are being disrupted. The biggest industry being disrupted is gold, right? So Bitcoin is one of the few use cases for the blockchain right now. Gold being store of value. The rest of the coins are promises of the future, right? There will be a decentralized Uber that could disrupt Uber, but none of them are ready to play because the public utility, if it's Ethereum or if it's EOS or if it's Hashcraft, the kind of global decentralized supercomputer isn't nearly fast enough to process anything. And so, we're 2 to 3 years out from when we're going to see the real disruption happen. But there's going to be decentralized cloud computing, decentralized file sharing.
Are we actually seeing the disruption to the gold market? I mean, I know a lot of people like to say that it's competition for gold, but if you take a look at holdings in the gold ETF, they've been at the highest level since May 13. So, I mean, May of 2013, not May 13th. So if it's not a competitive store of value, can we actually say it's a store of value? I mean, because that seems like whenever you ask somebody, well, what is it? It's a store of value. It competes with gold. What if it's not actually competing with gold here?
Well, it's different, again, different user base, right?
Okay.
And so old people and, tradition, 5,000 years, people have seen gold as a store of value, and this new generation says, hey, this can be a store of value. And so are there some people long Bitcoin, short gold? Very few, but probably a couple. I think gold is probably going to fall because interest rates are going to go higher. Right. Remember, gold's a pretty serious negative carry instrument.
I want to switch gears here, and I know, you're the crypto baller. We'd like to talk about crypto, but I want to talk about taxes with you. There's this quote out there in a Bloomberg article here, and you talk about the Treasury Secretary, Steven Mnuchin. You said about Steve Mnuchin never even modeled the thing, the tax plan. Idiot, IDIOT, spelling it out. And then you say Gary Cohn shouldn't be able to live with himself.
No, well, first I should apologize. You should never call anyone an idiot, and it was out of context. My thought was if no one had modeled that, that's fairly idiotic, because tax reform and tax code is unbelievably complicated. I look at this tax plan, I don't understand how it turned out the way it did. It doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to me. My thought on Gary Cohn was, as a New Yorker, how could you let it happen to us? Because it does feel like the tax code is, penalizing the coasts, the states that didn't vote for Trump at the benefit of the states that did. And that doesn't seem a smart way to do tax.
You live in New York?
I'm a New Yorker.
You're a New Yorker,
And I love
right?
the city.
Yeah. You can have a crypto fund anywhere in the world, Mike. Would you move?
I love New York City.
You're going to stay here no matter what, even if they jack up your taxes.
Yeah. Yeah. We're making enough money in crypto to pay our taxes.
Good answer.
Right on.
Last quick question. Is tax reform going to be good for the stock market, or is it all priced in?
I think in the short run it might be priced in. I think what will be good for the stock market is the economy is growing. The Fed is still going relatively slow. Tax reform is a net positive. And so I think you're going to see some correction in the next few weeks. People have been long. Hedge funds have had, long, short equity funds have had great years. And so there's going to be both tax selling and end-of-year selling. And so I expect a 3 to 4% correction, but I don't think the bull market's over.
All right, Mike, great to speak with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope you'll come back. Mike Novogratz of